In any sport, traditional or electronic, some of the most interesting stories are the ones that never happened. How far could Samsung White have gone if their Season 4 roster stuck together? And what would happen if Kevin Durant stayed on OKC? For League of Legends, the biggest what if is Apdo, although you might know him by his name of Dopa. You also might know him as a solo queue outlaw or as Evil Faker. No matter what tag, ID, or name he uses, Apdo is one of the best players to have never left solo queue. If you follow competitive League of Legends, then you know that solo queue stardom doesn't guarantee a professional career. In professional leagues, attitude and game sense matter a lot, as mechanics and purely mechanical solo queue heroes often fail in the pro world. So why is Apdo any different? First, there are his results. Apdo has climbed to the top of the challenger ladder in both China and Korea, two of the league's toughest regions. He's reached rank 1 across multiple seasons and metas and held his rank in the top 15 area. And Apdo doesn't just climb, he climbs fast. At his peak of 2014 and 15, Apdo took new accounts to Challenger in record time, with 75% win rates and 30-game win streaks. In the following years, Apdo cooled off some, but he reached rank 1 in Korean Challenger as recently as November 2019 Season 9. Even for really strong solo queue players, Apdo's win rates are hard to replicate, as is his consistent ability to carry across regions, metas, and balance patches. Apdo keeps stacking up wins because of his remarkably sharp sense of the game. However, over 5 years of playing a huge amount of solo queue, he's avoided the win lane, win game mentality. He doesn't play overbearing champs with the sole goal to dominate. Instead, he lives up to his name, translating the meaning, overwhelm. Apdo plays mages that can overwhelm and control his opponents, namely Twisted Fate and Orianna. Even if they lose lane, these picks help Apdo respond to the enemy plays and snowball other lanes. Apdo is a god of solo queue by understanding that League is ultimately a team game no matter the format. Part of playing that team game is filling different roles for the team. Apdo has a rare flexibility for a solo queue player, capable of playing several roles in challenger level proficiency. Many of the highest ranked solo queue players just struggle to access multiple champs, whereas Apdo at his height could rotate between several roles. Even now, he still plays a strong game in several roles, and said in a translated Q&A 1 year ago that he prefers to fill. However, even with raw talent, game sense, and versatility, a player can falter in solo queue if they have a bad attitude. For most of his career, Apdo kept a good, growth-focused attitude. Apdo admits that he slipped up plenty of times. Back in Season 2, he said, "If the jungler took blue, I would actually throw." However, he focused on self-improvement and practice at his core. "I'm sensitive to my own mistakes," Apdo said in an interview. "Oftentimes your teammates make mistakes too, but I'm sure I didn't do my best either. I would look back to the other parts where I didn't do well and try to improve in order to be better at my gameplay." Even recently, Apdo acknowledged on Weibo, China's Twitter, that he needed to take time off to practice and reset his mentality. Back in a 2015 end-of-the-year stream where he shared stories with his viewers, he said that he even went to a doctor to address his anger and tilt issues. So, like the analyst said, Apdo has a shocking amount of skills that transfer over perfectly to pro play. This is why it's so interesting to speculate about what could have happened if Apdo went pro. Could he have been the ultimate rival to Faker? Well, before we can answer that question, we have to go look back at why Apdo didn't go pro in the first place. Apdo gets called the evil Faker and a solo queue outlaw because of his infamous boosting career and how it costed him the chance at competing. In 2013, both Faker and Apdo stepped into the limelight as the two new solo queue prodigies with the talent to take on the world. Faker went on to join SKT and win Worlds that same year. Apdo went on to earn a 1,000-year-long ban from Riot Korea. The brazen and cocky rising star was running an incredibly lucrative elo boosting business, and he was doing it out in the open, often on stream. Riot Korea played whack-a-mole with Apdo's various accounts, causing him to develop tags like Dopa and Dopa. Unfortunately for Riot, boosting has always been difficult to stop. Riot's accessibility as a free game makes it a prime target for elo boosting. In the early days of League, boosting was one of the best ways to earn money off of League, much better than competing. In cracking down on elo boosting, Riot had to ban professional players like LMQ and Team Impulse's Xiao Wei Xiao. Team Liquid's Quas admitted to boosting as well in the Business Insider interview. Quas made up to $2,000 a month according to the interview. According to research, Apdo claimed that professional players in South Korea were boosting as well. However, Apdo's boosting was so brazen and public that Riot made an example out of it. They banned him from competitive play right after he formed a team that would qualify to compete in Korea's Regional Champions League. After the team failed, Apdo never went back to competing. For those of you guys who followed Apdo in the Korean scene, Riot's ban was understandable but tragic. This wasn't the loss of any solo queue player though. It was the solo queue player in the best region for solo queue. It was the loss of a true rival and counterpart to Faker. These were two players that came up at the same time, in the same circumstance, but with perfectly opposing personality. Apdo was a handsome and mysterious villain, while Faker was a humble and steadfast hero. Add in the fact that they were both the region's two top mid laners and they were natural rivals, until the Riot ban came in. But the Riot ban isn't the full story. If Apdo wanted to compete, he could have by now. Apdo's ban did not extend to China or other regions. He could have just joined capable teams. Bans in League often come up with leniency too. Had Apdo played, helped coach other teams, and waited like Jensen had, he would have made a return. Like all things Apdo, his exile from competitive play is surrounded by legend and rumor. Rumor that Apdo could have played in China, but he only wants to play in Korea. According to one translated Q&A, he said that he would pay Riot $100,000 if they lifted his ban. At other times, Apdo put it all down because he was so peculiar. He had a hyper-specific setup with an exact mouse, keyboard, and chair that was all set up to specifications that he measured out with a ruler. He can't play well without that exact setup. Apdo may have exaggerated the story, but those tiny adjustments can matter, especially at a higher level of competition. NBA player Gerald Henderson recounted the first conversation that he had with the late, great Kobe Bryant. Writing for the Players Tribune, Henderson tells the story of how Kobe kept missing shots during the pregame warm-up. Kobe missed enough shots that he estimated the hoop was a quarter-inch lower than regulation. He called in the maintenance crew, and sure enough, they raised it a quarter-inch and Kobe started sinking shots. However, all the legends and idiosyncrasies aren't why Apdo doesn't complete. The ugly truth is that Apdo simply doesn't want to go pro. In the early days of League, issue was money. Back during Season 3, when Apdo was boosting, players didn't have big salaries and buyouts. Back then, many players still lived in cramped team houses, getting paid a low wage for a lot of work. Apdo did not want that type of life. And this isn't speculation, it's what he said in multiple interviews. In one widely circulated translated interview, Apdo said that in Korea, professional players do not have much. This is not very attractive to me, hence I did not choose to be a pro player. Later in that interview, he kept closing the door for a possible entrance to pro play. I do not have a clear understanding of esports environment in China at this point, so I am not sure if I would go to China and become a professional player. The truth is that Apdo weighed the pros and cons in a professional League of Legends life and refused it. Although many of us want to see Apdo get on the big stage, it's hard to blame him for not wanting to. When Apdo said professional players do not have much, he didn't just mean money, he also meant free time. Professional League of Legends players often maintain strict and long work schedules that give them almost no free time. In an interview with CNN, RNG's Beijing manager, B. Long Li, presented a grueling schedule where the team practiced for 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. B made it clear that playing video games was a job now. Our goal is to win, he said, not have fun. RNG's routine adds up to about 98 hours of League of Legends a week. I can't even play 2 games a day without being tilted. About 5 hours a day was allotted to solo queue practice, which could be streaming and even more relaxed solo queue play. Still, it's understandable why anyone wouldn't want to have 9 hours a day, 7 days a week. Given how many players want to go pro and how competitive the environment is, anything less than 110% leads straight to the bench. The intense overworking schedule has very clear negative effects on the body too. We've seen wrist problems sideline Hive from Cloud9. Now we're seeing it in sideline China star AD carry Uzi, who has to take routine practice from competition to rest his wrist. It's easy to see Apdo's talents and think that he should just take them on stage. Especially now that he's playing for a Chinese team, he can make big money. According to a posting from Jingdong Company in April 2019, players on their main roster could earn between 500,000 to 10 million rand, which is roughly 72,000 to $1,440,000. And that doesn't include lucrative signing bonuses and streaming contracts. But that money comes with the price of a professional life that can drain the health of a well-being of a professional player. Considering that one Princeton study that found that happiness doesn't really increase with money after reaching the $70,000 threshold, Apdo made a reasonable choice. He grabbed a streaming contract with a big Chinese streaming website and stayed a solo queue god. He likely chose less money, but less pressure and more happiness as well. What if Apdo changed his mind? It's clear from his interviews that he at least thought about going pro. It's clear from the fact that he grinds to the top of the Korean ladder off-stream that he values competitions and loves to express his skill. Could Apdo have made it as a competitor? The short answer is yes. Apdo had the raw mechanics, the decision-making ability, the versatility, and the attitude to at least make the cut. It's possible that Apdo could have carried too much of the elitist better than everyone attitude to do well in a team environment. However, despite the reputation for arrogance, Apdo clearly admires the other pros that he meets in solo queue. Apdo famously said that he and Faker each had a 50-50 chance of beating one another in solo queue. However, he also praised Claire Love, Kiro, and Ambition before. He He's also apologized openly for his boosting and toxic behavior. Like Double Lift, sorry to call you out bro, Apdo has a huge ego, but he can also recognize his skill and understands the importance of working as a team. But most importantly, they can live up to their confidence. Not to mention, Apdo creates a functional team from several known toxic solo queue competitors. His team, fittingly called Team Dark, qualified for the Champions Winter in Korea. They immediately trolled their way out of League by locking in all junglers, but they might have played seriously if they hadn't lost Apdo to Riot's competitive ban. However, Apdo's success isn't just about Apdo. League is a team game after all. Faker won Season 3 with the help of Koma, Impact, Piglet, Pumandu, and Benji. Could Faker have won the downgrades at every position? It's not just about Apdo's skill, it's about the skill of the team that would pick him up. Back in Season 3, Apdo had such star power that he could have possibly went to a good team. However, that star power came from infamy, not fame. In 2017, years after he retired from boosting, he was controversial in League. Apdo reportedly used to refuse adding other players as they'd receive flack from Korean fans just for having him on their friend list. If Apdo went on a good team, Apdo would have been a Faker-esque talent. It may be hard to believe, but Apdo is already dedicated to the game, practicing and playing off-stream, forgoing money just to hone and show skill. Apdo is already the kind of mid to be able to adjust champion pool, to watch the map for every opportunity, and to play well to enable the whole team. Had he made it to teams like Samsung or Najin, teams with infrastructure and talent, we could have seen one of the most legendary mid-lane face-offs in League history. But it's hard to see Apdo facing as consistent as Faker and SKT. After all, very few players or teams can match Faker and SKT's endurance. Where so many other Korean players cashed in huge checks and went to China or NA, Faker stayed with his team and region. Faker stayed so devoted to the game that he's lived the relentless life of a pro without break. Faker isn't legendary for Season 3 Worlds, he's legendary for being the only one to carry 3 Worlds. Faker is legendary for winning 13 other big tournaments along the way. Faker is legendary for consistency and endurance that pretty much no other player in the world has shown yet. As a pro, Apdo probably wouldn't have been another Faker. Apdo simply never wanted that life. For all the times that he's been called an enigma, Apdo is down to earth. I may be a bit mysterious in game, but in real life, I'm just an ordinary person, Apdo said after winning roughly $80,000 for climbing to rank 1 in a Chinese server in under a month. I like to eat good food, play fun things, and go out with girls just like everyone else. For all the cult around Apdo, all the hype, all the attention, Apdo is just a man, and a practical man at that. It's hard to see him becoming the anti-Faker that so many of us have dreamed of because he never wanted that for himself. Or at least so it seems. And given the work, the grind, the massive amounts of wonderful bits of life that you'd have come sacrificed in there, who could blame him? Nowadays, Apdo streams on Huya.com to a mostly Chinese audience. He has a manager named Maya who translates his Korean commentary into Chinese and helps him run his stream. The two are close, though it's unclear if they're dating. He goes through similar mental struggles we see of top streamers in NA. Sometimes he takes breaks, sometimes he grinds off stream, sometimes fans attack him for it, and sometimes they support him. He's not as relevant as he once was, but he's still widely known. He doesn't have trophies and accoutrements accumulated from a lifetime of professional play, but he has a life in League and beyond it as well. And if you think about it, that's plenty. All the same, we're left wondering. Every one of us who has marveled at his skills, at losing lanes that he wins, at all the subtle ways he neutralizes top competitors, we're left wondering. Could he have been the guy to beat Faker? Even if it was just for a season, just for 2? Could he have been the villain to win Worlds? We'll never really know, but we still have Apdo, the solo queue god, the mystery, the streamer, the man. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, guys. If you want to get better at League of Legends, just like Dopa did, make sure you check out ProGuides.com. If you guys like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the comment section down below, as well as on the Rift. Bye. I don't know how to end this. It's been so long. I miss you guys, by the way. Oh, we're recording? Yeah. I'm just so thirsty. You know what I'm saying? Day 476 of the quarantine. We're down to Dasani. I don't know what got to me there. Just the quarantine makes me kind of crazy.